Can you guys hear us on this one? Can you guys hear us on this one?
Yeah, so they can hear us on that one, so I don't know what you have on that one versus the other screen.
And you guys can't hear us on this one.
So they can't hear us on
Hold on. Bear with us, guys. Shaun, you should eat it.
Tristen wanted to try something. Tristen wanted to try something new, and actually, we're not on OBS.
Bear with us, guys. Yeah, we're there.
Yep, now we can.
Sweet. All right. We're the DuCross. We'll reboot this again.
Regroup.
We are the DuCross Brothers, Sports Warriors. Along my side, as always, my brother Shaun DuCross. We are the DuCross Brothers. I'm Tristen DuCross. I hope you guys like the new feel, the new look.
Tristen was trying to work out the kinks.
Right? Because I also have this one, too. And no, it is not OBS. So, sorry, Rudy. Not to pop your bubble on that one, but no, this is my own doing. But as you can see, we are the DuCross Brothers Sports Warriors every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here for you guys' viewing pleasure. A different opinion-based talk show. We got hot topics. We got Deontay Wilder coming up Saturday. We have Max Holloway getting officially his #1 contender, and it's the legend Frankie Edgar. That sucker is trending so high right now. We got people that are talking about whether it's a good matchup, bad matchup. It's weird, isn't it?
But we'll get into that one as that'll segue into our break going in. But let's talk about the Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Breazeale fight that's coming up this weekend. And you're talking about this, and you're looking at this fight, and it's an intriguing one because both guys are 6'7".
Yes.
But one guy has fought Anthony Joshua, the other guy hasn't yet.
Correct.
So Anthony Joshua will be watching this fight going forward to see who wins this fight. Will we see Dominic Breazeale versus Anthony Joshua all over again? Or will we see Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua finally? Because at what point do you stop ducking?
The interesting thing about this matchup, Shaun, is not about just about the size, but I mean stylistically, we're talking about almost the exact same person. The reach is almost identical. You talk about an 83 versus 81, and there's not that much gap. Two big boys, two guys that could go out there and bang with the best of them. The only issue that I see with this is that nobody's giving any credit to the underdog in Breazeale, and Dominic Breazeale, because this guy has sat back and said that he was going to sit there and he was going to wait, become the mandatory WBC heavyweight guy, and he was going to just sit there till his time came. His time now came. And they both have extraordinary, unparalleled power for heavyweights. When you're looking at the matchup, and I look at it, right? Wilder has had 7 title defenses. He's been in there, done it with the best of them, and has never hid back from anybody. And Dominic is kind of the same guy, but he's almost like a glorified journeyman in the heavyweight division. Really hasn't amounted to anything that many people thought he was going to be. Kind of followed the same path that Deontay Wilder has gone, but yet didn't really have the accolades to back him. The only thing that people are not talking about this is that I love digging a little bit deeper about this matchup because I want to give you guys a different nugget to chew on to just based off of, well, what you see and what you hear. Shaun, check this out. Check out this statistic. At a heavyweight, Deontay Wilder, Shaun, is a tall guy at 6'7", right? But he's a lean heavyweight. He's fought at 220, 220 and a quarter, 214. His last fight at 212. Dominic fights easily at 255. 6'7", 214 versus 6'7", 255 pounds. And we've seen Deontay Wilder take on guys that are twice his size, but never this big, never the same height.
And the thing with Deontay Wilder is that he's been trimming down. He's been slowly becoming this slender guy.
Every fight.
And he's getting a little bit quicker. His fighting style still is not technical, but he's refining. The difference that you're going to get between Wilder and versus Fury that you're going to get with Wilder versus Brazil is the fact that Brazil's not going to hide.
No.
He's not going to slip. He's not going to slide. He's not going to roll. He's going to come straight at him. Both of them are going to lay some heavy hands. And then it'll be like, okay, which one's going to go to sleep first?
Pretty much. And that's what it's going to come down to. The odds say, hands down, the odds-on favorite is Deontay Wilder. And that's cool. He should be. He's the champ, right? There's no question about it. The thing that intrigues me the most is that Brazil is a plus 475 or a plus 705 as an underdog. Would you at some point think about putting a little bit of a spread on Dominic Brazil that he could literally take the foundation of the heavyweight division and have it crumble to the ground? This fight was supposed to be the rematch, Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, but Tyson Fury said, nah, man, I'm good. I'm going to sign with Top Rank. So, here we are in a fight that was supposed to be for somebody else. You see another guy that is chomping at the bit. And it always worries me that you have a guy that is chomping at the bit for glory. Because everybody in the media world, everybody in the fans, Fightbook MMA, other people, I've seen it all. They talk about Deontay Wilder. They talk about this guy, this godlike figure. And they build him up, build him up, build him up. But you never talk about the opposite side of the spectrum. You never give somebody the benefit of the doubt as long as you are there. That's the interesting storyline here. You can talk about Wilder all you want. You can give him all the praise he wants because he is the champ. You got to give respect where respect is due. I get it. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on Brazil, man. If anybody could shake that foundation, Sean, it could happen Saturday, could it?
It could very well happen Saturday. And just much like when you look across and see, well, now Max Holloway got his next opponent announced. It leaves you questioning about, well, why? How did we get here? Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar, as you called Frankie Edgar a legend. I say Frankie Edgar has a lot still to prove. How we got here remains to be seen about what the outcome's going to be.
Very true.
Because when you look at Frankie Edgar, nothing jumps off that he should have got this opportunity. There are more guys that are waiting in the wings for their opportunity to fight Max Holloway for the 145 title.
Holloway being 1-1, hasn't fought since April of 2018. You say how we got here. We got here because of the name alone. Frankie Edgar, the legend, steps back in for a title fight. He ain't no BJ Penn, and we'll get to that later. He ain't no Chuck Liddell, and we know what happened. What we do know is that Frankie Edgar is a nightmare matchup. What we do know is that Volkanovski, who won his fight, is in the hospital with a blood infection. He's out. So stop throwing out his name. It's irrelevant at this point because he can't fight. Check. Frankie Edgar has had this fight multiple times, Sean. Multiple times. Both times due to an issue with Max or Frankie, that fight never happened.
Here, I'll post one. So everybody's talking about Alexander Volkanovski as being the next guy. Well, I'll keep Frankie Edgar up there in the poll because Frankie Edgar, it's Frankie Edgar.
So
he's already getting the title.
And vote.
But what about Zabit? What about Zabit Magasharapov? What about him? I probably butchered his name a little bit. But what about him? This guy has ran off 5 wins underneath the UFC banner, 3 finishes. He has won 13 straight fights, dating all the way back before his time in the UFC. Yeah, you know what? Alexander, he's ran off wins against Jose Aldo, Chad Mendes. He's now 20-1 versus Zabit is 17-1. Okay, I can kind of see that. 11 finishes prior for Alexander. Zabit's finished all his guys too. So there are other guys that were very capable of competing against Max Holloway for the 45 title.
Very true.
My thinking is that Alexander maybe is not polished enough, or because Zabit, I feel so bad for his name. I'll just call him Z. Is not going to sell a fight as well as everybody else. So if that's the case, what's the next outcome?
Right?
You, by default, go to Frankie Edgar.
Yes.
We all know Frankie Edgar can talk. We all know Frankie Edgar can sell. By default, he's your logical choice. So, I guess it kind of makes sense.
My issue, and everybody is clearly Sean voting Frankie Edgar, right?
67% vote Frankie Edgar so far, 33% for Mr.
So I'm
Z.
sorry, Sean. I like where you're going with this, but man, ain't nobody going with Zabit. Sorry. Everybody's like, this guy. No, because everybody wants to see Frankie Edgar back in the limelight, don't they? Everybody wants to see Frankie Edgar doing what Frankie Edgar does. When I think of Frankie Edgar, I think of a guy that has been around the block, that every single person wants to see maybe come the end, come down the road, one last time. One last time. Wouldn't you want it to be for a championship?
Maybe. I mean, what else would you want? What would you rather have? Would you rather go out on your sword? And we'll talk about that soon.
And we're going to go to Frankie Edgar will pull out due to an injury. It happened. Carl's chanting for Holloway, for the money. His money's going to be on Holloway. Yeah, it might. I wouldn't doubt it. But
see, okay. So while Carl says that his money's on Holloway, here I'll pose an interesting question that nobody is going to mention.
Right.
That nobody has the balls to mention. Okay? We've seen Max Holloway and his mental psyche get broken. By that I mean is that you've seen him not seem like he's all there, that he's not very coherent when he speaks. We've seen what really brutal fights can do to an individual. We've seen that with Roy McDonald. So, do we know what Max Holloway we're going to get against Frankie Edgar once he comes to this fight from his post-fight from Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway?
Correct.
That was a brutal fight between those two. So we don't even know the health state yet of Max Holloway going into this fight.
And like I
so
mentioned
if Frankie
last time,
Edgar doesn't pull out due to injury, this may be the best opportunity for a Frankie Edgar to slip right in and maybe steal the show, like when Brian Ortega came in and stole the limelight away from Frankie Edgar with that uppercut.
Very true.
Capitalize on your key moment and opportunities. If you can do that, then this may very well surprisingly be in the hands of Frankie Edgar, where many people may not see it that way. But you know what? We'll go to a break, and then we'll jump right back into UFC 237 Fallout.
The Rose got her thorns taken out.
God, I just hear the Rose from those memes.
It happens. It really does. You know, it's interesting because I got people in the chat room, like Roberto Villa from Fightbook, that says Edgar's going to pull out due to injury. And dude, I'm sorry, but it's going to be an interesting take here. UFC 237, the thrones were taken out of Rose. More with the DuCross Brothers Sports Warriors right here on Facebook Live, also over on YouTube. So if you guys want to check us out over there, we're over there as well. In the meantime, we'll be right back.
Fightbook MMA community right here on Facebook is one of the hottest communities to talk about combat sports with. So go like their fan page and join some fantastic combat fans and start chatting it up with them today. We are the DuCross Brothers. We bring you an alternative, a new style, a new flavor to combat sports talk, podcasting, commentary, the new wave, just like our fan page, DuCross Brothers. You can check us out every week, Wednesday at 12 Pacific Standard Time. Check us out.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the DuCross Brothers Sports Warriors. Tristen DuCross is my brother, Shaun DuCross.
See, we got a poll going, folks. Go ahead. Do you want Frankie Edgar or do you want Mr. Z? Who would you rather have?
I wish I could post a photo right now. Roberto Villa just sent a photo of the Rose Namajunas get dropped on her head.
You know, that was one of the most heated conversations I think we've seen in regards to how that fight ended. Everybody blew up social media about that slam, about, oh, that's not legal, that's not legal.
Well, if that wasn't legal, then why was the hits to the back of the head legal?
That was legal because of the fact that Rose was going for a submission.
Yes, a Kimura.
So because of the fact that you're going in the submission, it's fair game on anything that happens.
Yeah, because she did it. Dude, we saw Brandon Dwyer, an amateur fighter, at IE Fight Night, was holding on to a submission, got picked up in the air by Miko Flores, and let go of the submission and saved himself from a slam. You as a veteran fighter should know that at some point, if you are in a bad spot, you have to take a moment and try to think what the end of the possibility is going to be, right?
Yeah. What's your end game?
Man, dude, the way she was picked up, the end game was not going to end well at all for Rose if she did not let go of the Kimura. She did not let go of the Kimura and dropped directly on her head. The only good thing about this fight is that we now know Andrade can take shot after shot after shot and keep moving
Again, let me play devil advocate here, Tristen. We've been talking about the mental psyche of wrestlers for the last two shows.
Yeah.
At least the last two shows. CTE breakdown of fighters. What I heard from Rose was much like what I heard from Roy McDonald that made me discouraged. When a fighter comes out and says, I had a long camp, it was going well. Okay, sounds great. But when you say that your mindset going into the fight was, oh, I think this may be the last fight. Wait. When you go into a fight or you go into any sport with the mentality of being mentally broken, you're putting yourself and your health in a situation of uncertainty. That's what I got from UFC 237 was, my God, the UFC's handling of this card was horrific for the fighters on multiple platforms. And to hear that, like a fighter went in unsure. If you're Pat Barry, how do you let that happen?
Well, because my thought process about Rose is Rose has always been the type of person that is really calm, cool, and collected under pressure, right? She's the type of person that I don't think the fight game is... I'm trying to think of the proper word for this because I want people to understand what I'm trying to say here. Is that while Rose loves to fight, while Rose loves being inside that octagon, inside that cage, I don't think she longs for the life of a cage fighter, if that makes sense. I think some people...
And I kind of get that, but
I think when the weight camp, and I think that when the camp comes around, and it's a long camp, you have to do media after media, you have to talk to people, you have to get people invested in your fight. I think it starts becoming something much more than what she bargained for, if that makes sense. I think right now, if she wanted to, Shaun, she could walk away from the fight game and be okay with it.
And I don't doubt that for a second. Because she says that the fight game has been tumultuous on her and Pat Barry's relationship. I get that.
Pat wants you to be a world champion.
And I get
he can't.
And I get all of that. But it's like the psyche mentality is like if you hear that from a fighter, you get worried, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
You start to piece things back and forth. And again, does CTE start to rear its ugly little head?
I don't think so. She's still too young. I think what I don't like...
Tristan, she's been fighting in pancreation...
Correct.
...since she was a girl.
Yeah, but what I don't like is that I've never been the type of person that loves people to get interviewed the minute they get knocked on their head.
I know.
Like, dude, your mindset ain't 100%. Bro, you just got dropped on your head. Like, your brain stem is, like, disconnected from your body at that point. You're just like... Yeah, you might want to pause on that interview real quick because your mind ain't right. The way she was out, just sitting there in the octagon and the camera's on her, remind me of that situation that we saw of Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler, did it not?
A little bit.
Except her face was not bloody, battered. It did not look like a horror flick. This was Rose on the ground, legs crossed.
So when you look at everything and you're seeing everything that transpired and you're talking about her being knocked out, you look across and you're like, well, about that, you've got to think that you have BJ Penn. You have to have BJ Penn. And again, you're talking about the outlook and everything else that is transpiring with the UFC and the managing of fighters. You look at BJ Penn and you're talking about Rose Namajunas. You're talking about what has transpired with her. Now I look across and I think BJ Penn.
Yeah.
And I think what is going on with BJ Penn. 7 straight losses. The most consecutive losses in the UFC.
Right, and we talked about Frankie Edgar, right? Being a legend.
At what point do you start protecting your personal fighters? Because UFC did that for... Again, I've said this. And I get annoyed by watching these fighters going down. And we've got fighters that are watching us right now.
Yes.
Our buddy Sarek Shields could probably speak on behalf of some fighters as he's watching it.
Carl, too.
Or any fighters that are out there that want to get their 2 cents in. Chime in the chat room.
Yes.
At what point, whose responsibility is it? UFC's?
Coaches?
The coaches? What point is it that somebody steps in and says, something's not right? I can keep going on and on and on and on. But at some point, somebody needs to step in and say, hold up, pump your brakes. Because UFC did that for Chuck Liddell. UFC did that for Rampage. Did it for Tito Ortiz, even though Tito Ortiz kind of made it on his way out. But there's so many times that the UFC could step in. Or why don't the coaches step in? Like, I just don't understand it. Don't you want the health of your fighters to be much better? Don't you?
I think the coaches, the organization you fight for, you owe it to the fighters to take care of them. And for BJ Penn, and I get it, man, that itch is there. It happens in football. It happens in hockey. It happens with the best of them. When you retire and you think you stepped away from the game, maybe too early. That itch is still in the back of your head, and I get it. I really do. I get that itch every day to feel like that I want to get back in and play sports and do everything, but I know deep down that my body cannot do it anymore. I know it can. But you still get that feeling, man. And for nobody to look at BJ Penn, and BJ Penn is like thinking, well, I haven't been knocked out like Little Nog. I haven't been stiffened.
No, but you've been knocked out numerous of times. You've been finished 7 times.
Look at your face after the fight. You're telling me you're not taking a beating, pal? You're telling me that.
You're talking. So it's like Sarek Shields says. It says that Penn is a legend, but it's up to him and his coaches to call it. Not the with the UFC, they're gonna let it happen because of the fact that it's for the money.
Yeah.
Isn't that a shame that basically they're using Penn to get more money?
I don't understand.
They didn't do that when it came to Liddell. They didn't do that when it came to Matt Hughes. You know? It's a little confusing about how we got here.
I don't personally understand how you could put a fighter, and again, you could talk about legends, you could talk about legacies. The more you put BJ Penn in this spot, the more you allow him to fight, the more dangerous it is for his health and his well-being. But the issue that I have at hand with this is the lone fact and the premise that we're talking about BJ Penn, no longer about the legend that he is. We're talking about his legacy that is ultimately being tarnished.
Because he's a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer, a prodigy. He was the guy that,
literally, no pun intended.
He was a guy that many people looked up to as a fighter. Now you're looking at him like you're just praying, please stop fighting.
You know, it's so funny because it's like I don't get sometimes you get more worked up about certain topics than I do when we're doing our show, and I got more worked up this time. And it's interesting to me because I'm so one of the big advocates about mental health. And to see certain things like happen with people that you can control, or you can say enough's enough, and you just see the wrongdoing of certain individuals, it just boggles my mind how we even got here. And I can't say that enough. I can't understand how we got here. It's just like Anderson Silva watching him get knocked out, TKO'd, seeing his body deteriorate and give away at a young age, but yet he still keeps competing, and he says he'll be back. It's like, really? How are we going to come back from this? Why are we going to come back from this? So somebody out there, please tell me why these old guys are continuing to wanting to compete at a high level when their bodies are clearly telling them they can't.
Little Nog, Sergio Moraes, both guys left laying on the canvas, dude. And it wasn't as if it was lights out. It was, dude, you are hurt beyond repair.
Yeah.
Your age, your body, you can go through fight camps and feel good coming down to the wire. But that's all fine and dandy until you step inside that cage and your body totally reacts completely different than what it was coming inside.
You know the other thing what's bad about this, and we'll go into a break in a minute, is it was mentioned in the chat room, so I'll touch on it a little bit. UFC sends the wrong message about 40% of the time. I'll go on the lower spectrum. Okay? You have Greg Hardy. Domestic abuse, domestic violence. You let him compete on a card with a woman who was involved in domestic violence.
Yeah.
You'll continue to promote him at a high level. BJ Penn is accused of domestic violence. BJ Penn is accused of sexual assault. He still competed. Tito Ortiz, for over a decade, was accused of certain accusations. They pushed him away. I don't get where the gray line is about who they let do what. They let Brock Lesnar come in knowing that he did steroids.
And it's okay.
But you push out Mark Hunt.
But you can't stand up for your legends that has basically put the UFC on their back and carried an organization for years, and you use them as basically as a drug mule.
Ooh, that's a little harsh.
I'm telling you guys, it is a very, very steep road that you travel if you have been with the organization for such a long time, and if nobody's standing up for you, I'm sorry, that's the life you're going to live. But we are the DuCross Brothers. We are the Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan DuCross. Along my side is my brother, Shaun DuCross. Give a shout out to our sponsors. We got Rep Sports, Raz Energy. Thank you guys for the energy drinks. If you guys want to give them a try, go to repsports.com and you can use the promo code DuCross Bros 15. Get yourself a case. We're rocking Galaxy Burst right now, their newest one. Tastes like bubble gum, bubblicious. And then we also got a shout out to our sponsor, I Love Auntie. If you get that QR code that's right down here, that'll go to I Love Auntie, CBD oils, muscle rubs. You can get it. DuCross Bros 10% gets you that code.
You know, it's funny because I was talking about muscle. It works fantastic.
Right back after this brief commercial.
Fightbook MMA, Facebook's fight community for combat sports, for news, topics. You want to have conversations with civil combat fans? Look no further. We are the DuCross Brothers. We are the Sports Warriors here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you check us out every week. All right. Bellator 221 Fallout saw the first crowning of their first dual champion, but then he calls out Canelo. Like, what are we doing when you're champ?
Hey, when you're in
At
the
least-
zone,
at
when
least
you're
Bell-
with the zone, apparently you can call out anybody and everybody. You have a contract with the zone. I get it. You want the payday. And you said that you saw holes in Canelo. So Patricio Pitbull says, I could take him.
And I saw holes in Patricio. What are you
Right?
talking about? I just like the fact that Bellator is referring to him as a dual champ and not champ or Mr. Two Belts.
But Patricio Pitbull beat Michael Chandler that had everybody on my social media up in arms for a post that I made, and I love it. Love it. I love stirring the pot a little bit.
61 seconds.
Right?
Clip behind the head sends Michael Chandler
behind
down.
the ear. Anytime you're hit behind the ear, that it kind of
Your
separates
equilibrium.
your mind and you're discombobulated. You're never really out, but your body is now separated from yourself. So, I don't know. Like, I stirred the pot a little bit because it's like what I do. I want to give a different opinion because I'm always tired of people saying the exact same thing over and over and over and over again. So I go, oh, I wonder what's going to strike a nerve. So I posted 2 photos of the illegal hits to the back of the head by Patricio Pitbull. And man, boy, the amount of people that were like, I don't know what you're drinking. I don't know. Well, first off, drinking Rise Energy you can get at repsports.com. But I just love combat sports. I love talking about it. I've been in this industry for a very long time. So I've always been told, have a difference of opinion and get people to talk about it. That's what I do. So when people are not going to talk about it, it's like, okay, cool, you got an opinion. I appreciate that. I love reading everybody's opinions about it. But it was interesting when you saw Chandler get clipped behind the ear, Chandler get knocked down. There wasn't really any shot that was like, oh my God, he ended Michael Chandler, right?
Nope. But there you go. Should the fight have continued continue with Pitbull versus Chandler?
Right? Sean's having fun over
yes or no?
Yes or no? See, tale of two sides. Pitbull got knocked down. Yes, he kissed the canvas. I get it. But there was no shot beyond the shot of a doubt that ended that fight. I'm sorry. The referee stopped that way too premature.
See the outcome. Like, is he really pummeling? Is the punches really getting through? You got to take a step back. Like, none of the shots were going through.
No.
After he clipped him, none of the shots was going through. None of the ground and pound was enough for me to go.
You gotta stop it. Yeah. It's funny because Matthew Padilla posted to me, and he posted a photo of a shot coming down, and I was like, "Cool, thank you for proving my point." You showed me of a photo of the punch that did not even land on Michael Chandler. Love it. But we're talking about a champion fight. You have to let champions fight until they can't fight no more.
Yes.
And the fact that he got up so quick and looked at the ref and said, "This is bleep," it tells you something because you get clipped behind the ear. If anybody's been hit behind the ear, you know how your body's separated, your legs don't exactly work right.
You get all weeble wobble.
Right. It's not that you're out. It's the fact that your brain and your body is no longer communicating. It doesn't mean you're out. It just means like, whoa, I got jelly legs for a second. I need to kind of work this out real quick. That's what it was. And in a matter of seconds, that was all done with because he already got his bearings back, but it was taken away from him.
He never had a clean shot or opportunity to either defend himself or get back to his feet after a clip. And I read some of your comments, and one of the comments, I don't know who it's from, maybe you'll know, was that in the exchange between Patricio and Chandler, in the hit behind the head that was in question,
yes,
that sent Chandler to the ground, was in an exchange in which the referee was unable to determine of where it connected.
I think that was Matthew Padilla.
To me, when I watched that again, to me, you can clearly see something was not right in where it connected. So, I don't know what it is like in there to be a referee in that moment, but from the outside perspective, clear as day, anybody can see that initial shot behind the ear was like, whoa, that looks weird. Something's not right.
But is it just...
Let's go back.
But it... So we know a lot of refs that are in this field. Some of them has learned from the greats of Big John McCarthy. Some haven't.
Absolutely.
As a referee, Shaun, man, you gotta look at it from a different. I'm almost like thinking of like an out of body experience, an alternative, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of these referees that go inside that cage that has their mind made up. I'm going to do whatever is necessary to prevent fighters from getting hurt. Bro, this ain't the amateurs. I get it when you fight in the amateurs and the health of a fighter is your job. When you go to the pro status, you should throw that right out the door, and you should understand that, man, this ain't wrestling. This is not for the fake. This is not for the weak. 2 champions fighting it out. Their titles are on the line. You owe it to them to put your best foot inside that cage.
AJ McKee, who won over Pat Curran via unanimous decision.
He's the Floyd Mayweather of Bellator.
Said, you know what was interesting? He's like, so, hey, Patricio, where do you want to fight at? 145? 155? Whichever belt you want to give me, I'll take. Woo! I love Antonio McKee. I love AJ McKee. And the fact that now he's giving an ultimatum to Patricio, like, yo, you can't run now. You got both belts. 145, 155.
At what cost, though? Because I told you that this was going to be the hardest fight of AJ McKee's career.
Was it his best? No.
To set a kind of a upward trend for AJ McKee to take on Pat Curran. Pat Curran took him to the limit.
Yeah.
But I was not overly impressed by this AJ McKee.
No, but you don't have to. That was the whole point.
He did enough to win the fight.
Because that was what was presented to him at the time.
He might not have his best game plan. He might not have his best fight. But guess what? It's winners find ways to win, don't they?
Yes. He was a winner who found a way to dig deep, to rise over the top. To me, that fight...
14-0.
To me, that fight showcased just how ready he now is for the limelight.
Champions find ways to win.
The only drawback to this that I see is that he wants Patricio Pitbull next. 45, 55, doesn't matter. At that point in time, will Bellator do him dirty? Or will Bellator do him justice? By that, fight fans, I ask you one thing. Bellator will be doing a tournament for the featherweights in the fall. Will AJ McKee get a shot at Patricio Pitbull before the tournament? Or will he have to go through the tournament to get his shot?
I think you owe it to AJ McKee that you have to give him his shot.
I tend to agree. My gut tells me he's only going to get that shot if he goes into the tournament.
See, and I don't know. The way that I see it, brother, the way that I want to see it, is that time's now, time's coming, and it should be AJ McKee versus Patricio Pitbull. And then you look at guys that should get other opportunities. Douglas Lima took on MVP, and in just matter of seconds, like Thor. I mean, Thanos snapped his finger, and MVP was gone.
MVP wasn't just gone. MVP got knocked into Never Never Land. Like, dude, that was a clean, right hook uppercut that he just went limp and went night-night. And was like, all right, I see you. Douglas Lima is going to end up taking on the winner of Roy McDonald or Neiman Gracie.
It is so scary to see Douglas Lima where he's at, Shaun, and where he could, and the fact that at the end of the line, you could see Douglas Lima versus Rory McDonald. And
title up at the end of the day.
right?
Why do I have that feeling?
I have that feeling. And as much as the Red King is there, the fact that you talk about the mindset not being exactly where it should be, that may play into a factor, Shaun. That may play out into a different world. That may play out to Douglas Lima's favor. But that's a guy I don't want to face for a strap right now.
Douglas Lima seems like he's finding himself all over again. And if he could continue to find himself, fans are in for a treat. But much like as we were getting ready to go out here, fans will be treated to a nice new boxing bout July 20th. As it was confirmed, you've got Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman.
Why? Oh, that's right, because there's a payday. Got it. There's a payday. Right.
Manny Pacquiao is set to receive $20 million.
See, told you. I got you.
But yet Keith Thurman's payout is not known yet.
Does
Nobody
that surprise
knows
you?
what it is. But it's interesting because of the fact that Manny Pacquiao is 40. Keith Thurman is 30. Keith Thurman was one of the most perennial middleweights who's seemingly fallen off the face of the mat because of injuries and inactivity, that now he's under the guise of the like of Earl Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, Danny Garcia. He's like he's like at the bottom of the top 5 fighters. And this will go down in Las Vegas. And Manny Pacquiao said that Keith Thurman was the best fight for him. Yeah, because anybody else above Thurman right now would knock your head off.
Right.
You just come off beating a flashy guy in Adrian Bronner. So, yeah, I could see why you would go, yeah, you know what? I still need another name. I need somebody that's capable of elevating me. We'll go Keith Thurman. This will be the first time Keith Thurman will be on pay-per-view in his entire career.
Matchup-wise, I love this fight. I love this fight.
It fits Manny Pacquiao.
It not only does it fit Pacquiao.
Shaun Porter versus Keith Thurman is what I see.
I think it's a possibility.
I see that type of style fight. Pacquiao, Shaun Porter, similar styles.
Yes. I still like this matchup. Dude, if Keith Thurman can add Manny's name to his pedigree, now he just shot out the charts. But another fight that has also been announced, and since we're on the boxing and we're announcing stuff, Manny Pacquiao versus Thurman, what about Danny Garcia versus Mikey Garcia at the Staples Center in Los Angeles in August?
What is it? I'm hearing the date like August 31st, I think.
What?
At the Staples Center?
So, boxing
The
all of
Battle
a
of the
sudden
Garcias.
just threw everything out the window and said we're going to make the best fights possible?
Why not?
Let's bring the fans back, folks. Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, absolutely, I'm down.
Danny Garcia versus Mikey Garcia. Absolutely, I'm down.
Deontay Wilder versus Brazil, I'm down. Here we go, boxing, looking at what is being presented in front of them, says we are going to put the best foot forward for the boxing fans. We got a unified title just recently, Shaun, with Canelo.
Yeah.
3 out of the 4 titles now are in Canelo's possession.
You know what's interesting is that this time last year, boxing was doing the same thing. Like basically boxing took the potatoes in the middle of last year, then took the back year off. It seems like we're doing the same thing. We took the beginning of the year off. Now boxing has started to find its rhythm again in the middle right now, and we'll see how it goes. They love that sweet spot, the middle. Let's get into like 3 through like the first 3-4 months, and we'll figure this out.
And on the way that we're going to go out to end the show, Shaun, I have to. You know where I'm going. I have to. You know I have to.
Now I know
You know.
You're just finding whichever way to bring it in now. But I'll go ahead and say it.
Because I'm pulling you back in.
So if you don't know,
Go ahead.
we do wrestling references. If you haven't heard by now, TNT and Time Warner have announced that AEW
They are back in the wrestling business.
So they're going to be on TNT in the fall. So if you're a wrestling fan, TNT will be your new home for all Elite Wrestling.
May 25th in Las Vegas, Double or Nothing. It's going down. Get Time Warner, Warner Media, Bleacher Report. It'll all be on there. In the meantime, we're going to do Cross Brothers Sports Warriors.
Hopefully you guys like the new shindig that
Right?
we came up with this week. I kind of dig it.
Kind of, right? I hope everybody
Has
else
CM Punk
enjoyed it.
signed yet? Not that I'm aware of, but I would not put it past him that he may show up at Double or Nothing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Would not surprise me if he's there.
A surprise guest will be CM Punk. Watch, bet that here. You heard it here first. I swear to God, if anybody tuning into us right now, CM Punk right here, May 25th in Las Vegas, shows up as a surprise.
Then the
shakes
DuCross
up the
Brothers
world.
has to be trending.
Right. That would be pretty epic. Just saying. But we're the DuCross Brothers, AEW, May 25th, Las Vegas. Chris Jericho, Dustin Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. Wrestling is back, folks. We're the DuCross Brothers. Until next time. We do this every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook. Just search Shaun and Tristen DuCross. Go to the DuCross Brothers fan page, www.theducrossbrothers.com for all the latest news. Again, our sponsors, Rep Sports,
Raise energy drinks.
I Love Auntie. Check them out. We are the DuCross Brothers. Until next time.